There are many FPS titles at Gamescom. There's Battlefield 1, Call of Duty. Who cares about them? Because there's Titanfall 2, and I'm with Drew McCoy, one of the producers on Titanfall 2. It's a pleasure to be talking with you, man.
Yeah, it's great to be here, thanks.
The presentation I had of the single-player campaign in the morning was absolutely amazing, least of all because it seems so fresh compared to all the other FPS titles out there. And the one thing that caught my attention the most was the addition of dialogue options.
Yep.
So how did that come about? And yeah, tell me a little bit more about them if you could.
Yeah, so the single player in Titanfall 2 ended up being a pretty unique and varied experience, more than we were expecting when we started it. And so that dialogue tree you're talking about, that's going all the way back to the core fundamental that we were trying to get to with the story, which was that connection between the pilot and the Titan. We really wanted to explore that kind of relationship between the two. And we were struggling with it, hitting our head against the wall, trying to get people to care about this robot that you were spending hours with. And someone suggested, well, what if you could talk to it? And my initial reaction was like, no, I hate when games talk for me. So no, what if you could just choose a couple things? And it's not like Mass Effect, you're not going down huge dialogue trees, you're not changing the story by any way, but it gives you as a player some choice in how you interact with him. And the hardcore lore hounds, people who care a lot about story and universe, they'll probably want to go back and play sections to try it all out. But it's really just there to help you kind of grow that relationship with BT.
I also noticed there was a little bit of humor between the Titan and his pilot. And I liked when he was about to throw him to a certain area in the map, he said there's a certain chance of death, and then there's a high probability that you're going to make it, but there's also a certain chance of death, and you chose the option as to, what happens to the 32% of if I don't make it, and he describes everything in detail, that you will die a horrid death, and et cetera, et cetera. So I really love how you bring the humor into it, and is that a big thing to bring some humor into it, bring some light into this very dark genre, which it can often be?
Yeah, we're letting ourselves have fun with it. It's not a gritty, dark, gruff guys doing gruff stuff kind of game. I mean, it kind of is in some ways. It's still shooting people in the face, but we want to have fun with it. We've got some over-the-top characters. We've got some really interesting locales. People can be generally funny at times. Like, this is something that we want people to have a wholly rounded experience, and part of that is going to be a little bit of comedy.
You want people to have some fun, right? Of course. I mean, with competitors, everybody's trying to be so serious and so, in your face. But I did really get a fresh experience in the short single-player presentation that you gave this morning. And another thing that stood out to me was the ability to switch between the gameplay of going all on assault or mixing up with stealth. Of course, this game is first and foremost an action game.
Absolutely.
But what's the mix between stealth and action? Could you go entirely stealth, or is it just going to be segments where you can dip in and out?
Well, the stealth that we showed off was pretty minimal. So you do have cloak, and it's a little bit of a let me secretly start an attack. I don't think you'd be able to get through entire sections with cloak only. That's not really what it's meant for. It's meant for either let me be sneaky on my way in, or oh no, I need to hit the oh crap button. I'm surrounded. Let me pop cloak and get out of there real quick. But really, one of the cool things about the combat, especially as a pilot, is the freedom for the player to choose how they want to do it. If you want to hunker down, if you want to be the guy who's really cautious, you can do that. If you want to run around like your head's cut off and just be shooting everyone while wall running, that's fine. Go for it. We wanted to make these play styles possible.
Now, something I may have missed, and I don't know if you've already announced it, but in terms of your Titan and your pilot during the single-player campaign, is there a lot of customization and upgrades featured within that? And if so, is there a New Game Plus where you can replay with those upgrades?
The upgrades aren't an upgrade system where you get to choose or craft anything like that. It's more of, as you progress, you will be coming across new weapons and loadouts for your Titan. So it's more of a defined progression so that you have more and more tools at your disposal when you get later in the game for the more intense Titan fights.
Awesome. And one last question. During development, did you guys ever play around with the possibility of having a co-op campaign? Obviously, there isn't one in Titanfall 2. Who knows what the future holds, but Titanfall 2, was that discussed at all?
Absolutely. I mean, since the original game was multiplayer only, a lot of people in the studio, their inclination was to go let's try a 2 or 4 player co-op experience. And we did try it. We had a really lengthy period of prototyping where we tried all sorts of crazy stuff. That was something we tried, and the problems it created for us were probably ones that we didn't need to tackle this time. Things like, how do you tell a story effectively when people could be anywhere? Because player one goes and triggers this sequence happening over here, or some important story beat that someone over there is still, beating a Titan to death with his own arm and totally misses it. So yeah, we opted to do a single player game because we did really want to get into the storytelling aspect of it.
Fantastic. Well, Drew, I'm really looking forward to the game. I can't express how much I'm really excited about finally landing on my favorite console, PlayStation 4. Yes. And of course, all you guys can catch it on October
28th.
October 28th. Catch it then.